This is your TZT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts, making the news at this time. A meeting between Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar and officials from the United States Southern Command placed security cooperation between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States in focus. At the end of the meeting, the Prime Minister invited Southcom Commander Francis L. Donovan to visit Trinidad and Tobago. The Prime Minister was accompanied by ministers in the Office of the Prime Minister, Barry Padarath, and Nicholas Morris. Discussions centered on strengthening cooperation in national and regional security, particularly the fight against narcotics trafficking and organized crime. The Prime Minister also called for expanded technical support from the United States in areas such as cybersecurity, forensics, and ballistics. Officials from the United States Southern Command acknowledged Trinidad and Tobago's leadership role in regional security and expressed support for deeper collaboration. In other news, Food and Drugs Inspector 2 at the Chemistry, Food and Drugs Division of the Ministry of Health, Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Derek Patron, has defended the actions taken to address a backlog of drug applications in Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Patron explained that the measures were necessary to deal with a period when no drug evaluations were being conducted, which contributed to the buildup of applications. He was responding to questions while appearing before the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, examining the current procedures used by the state for the importation and approval of pharmaceutical products.
In 2013, there was a backlog of almost 500 drugs. In 2016, the labs had closed its doors for almost 10 years. So there was no drug evaluation happening at that time. I came in 2017 with a mandate to clear the backlog and also to continue with drug registration at an unprecedented rate.
Dr. Patron said the committee adopted the concept of reliance recommended by the World Health Organization, allowing regulators to rely on approvals from international authorities to help continue drug registrations. He explained this was done to move along the drug evaluation, which was stalled for 10 years. Tensions escalated when PAAC Chairman Jagdeo Singh questioned Dr. Patron over a previous allegation that he had altered a form used by drug importers for acquiring generic medications.
The major allegation made against you, as you know, was that you in 2017 unilaterally changed the form.
The role of the Secretariat is administrative, technical.
Did you change the form, Dr. Patron, yes or no?
No, it wasn't a decision made by me.
Who made that decision?
That was the decision made at the 224th DAC committee.
Dr. Patron insisted that he did not change the forms, referring to minutes on the matter. In some sport now, newly appointed interim head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago national football team, Derek King, conducted his first official training session on Monday. The session was held at the Manny Ramjohn Stadium just days after he was appointed to the role last Friday. Among the contingent of locally based players in attendance were national under-17 standouts Lindell Sween and Adassa Richardson, along with national under-20 captain Darrell Garcia. Senior players Catherine Saint-Hilaire, Alvin Jones, and Jabari Bryce were also part of the session. The training gave interim head coach Derek King and newly appointed assistant coach Hudson Charles an opportunity to closely assess the group before naming a final squad for Trinidad and Tobago national football team ahead of their international friendly against Bolivia national football team on March 15th. And that's what's making the news this morning. But joining us right now is the host of Trinidad and Tobago Today, Virmala Balkaran. Good morning, Virmala.
Good morning, Carrie. How are you this morning?
I am a little bit sore. I'm back at the gym.
I'm really proud.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the New Year resolution, everybody has theirs. They're going to do this better, that better. You know, so I'm back in the gym once again and hitting it hard.
Yeah, well, some people actually decided against doing better and did worse. I heard something happening with Rihanna over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. She and her 3 children were inside their Los Angeles home when gunshots were fired at the property. Thankfully, nobody was injured, though, but multiple rounds struck the exterior of a house and nearby vehicle, and the authorities arrested Ivana Lisette Ortiz, and she has been charged with attempted murder. I'm very curious to know, like, what is the backstory behind that? The
Yeah,
investigators say the suspect had a history of erratic social media posts referencing celebrities, and the motive remains under investigation.
Yeah, well, some people take celebrities really seriously, and they have this axe to grind. I never get it. I never really get it.
Like back in the days with Selena, for instance, the person was supposedly her biggest fan, and she ended up being the one that brought Selena's demise. I don't want to use the word crazy, but it's a little unsettling, to say the least.
Absolutely. They take it a little too seriously. Well, Kari, coming up inside the show today, something we are taking seriously, that fluctuation in oil prices that's currently happening because of everything in the Middle East. So that's something we are following closely, and so much more inside Trinidad and Tobago today. You know the drill.
Yeah, I know the drill. I'm looking forward to see you ventilate that topic.
All right, Kari.
All right. Thanks so much, Virmala. See you later.
You're welcome.
All right. When we come back, the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show gets going after this break.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Unleash your imagination with TTT's terrific Toon Time. Join us as we stop evil geniuses from taking over the world from Super Z, or hop on board for a journey into outer space with Galaxy Kids. Be a part of our quest to save the forests alongside our robot pals from Bugs Bot Ignition, or let's go exploring with Duda and Dada. Catch terrific Toon Time weekdays at 4:15 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. It's fun-filled adventure with terrific Toon Time right here on TTT.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exeter Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you,
abused you,
and you were brave enough to tell me.
You trusted me. You came to me for help.
To defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes,
favors, or gifts will stop me.
You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
Tuesday, 10th March 2026. The time now, it is 6:09 a.m. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Virmala Balkaran, and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today. Well, you know the drill. Let's take a look at what's happening this morning, what's trending. Well, last evening, U.S. President Donald Trump actually said that the war against Iran could end very soon, though he does not expect it to happen within this current week. While speaking at a press conference near his golf club near Miami yesterday, he also predicted that while global oil prices, which recently surged above $100 per barrel, could fall once the situation stabilizes. Now, I'm going to get back to that because it did happen. Well, the increase in prices has been driven largely by fears that the conflict could disrupt shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil route where about 20% of the world's supply passes each day. While he also revealed that he spoke earlier with the Russian President Vladimir Putin about the conflict, which began on February 28th, as you would remember, when the US and Israel launched military actions against Iran. So as promised, let's circle back to that surge in oil prices now, because we saw a sharp jump in recent days as investors reacted to the possibility of supply disruptions linked to the conflict. At one point, the global benchmark Brent crude climbed close to $120 per barrel. So when supply is threatened, prices tend to rise quickly. And those increases, as you know, can eventually affect fuel costs, transportation, and the overall cost of living. However, in a turn of events after President Trump's address last evening, oil prices dropped sharply, with Brent crude falling to around $89 per barrel, and U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate declined to about $85 per barrel, and markets reached to the possibility that the conflict could end soon, according to President Trump. Well, that is definitely something we'll continue to follow closely, and of course bring you all the updates as they come to hand. Meanwhile, in local energy news now, Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal says that global energy giant Chevron has expressed interest in meeting with Trinidad and Tobago to discuss possible collaboration in the country's energy sector. Well, this development actually comes just a day or two after Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessa held talks with the U.S. Energy Secretary, something we spoke about yesterday. And according to Minister Munilal, Chevron is interested in several areas, including the possibility of using TNT as a hub for shipping oil from neighboring Venezuela. And then he said, well, other major companies are already involved in the country's energy industry. And this is something he believes signals a positive period ahead for the sector. Well, as promised, coming up next, we continue the conversation on oil and gas with those fluctuations happening that I just spoke about. And energy strategy and policy advisor, Mr. Anthony Tony Paul, joins us as we discuss those, the global prices. What could this mean for our country? All that and more when we return on Trinidad and Tobago Today.
City 91.1. Thought-provoking conversations, bold perspectives, voices you trust. Talk City 91.1. Bigger, bolder, and more powerful than ever before.
Yes, Talk City 91.1 FM.
A brand new era of talk radio is here. With voices you know, trust, and respect. Get ready for an all-new lineup of the very best in talk. Andy Williams, Lennox Smith, Stephen Reese, Mr. X, Derek Charbodi, Roland Stewart, Sharon Farfan, Sudath Prasad, Heavy Duty, Alex Asing, Karen Francisco, Cherry-Leen Lewis, Short Pants, and more of the voices shaping the national conversation. From hard-hitting current affairs to real community issues, culture, politics, social development, and the stories that matter most to you. This is where Trinidad and Tobago comes to talk.
So I'll go right to on Talk City 91.1, where we're going to give you something new, something hot every day, Monday to Friday.
Listen on 91.1 FM and connect on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Talk City 91.1. Your city, your voice.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is still hope. When the weight feels heavy and the night feels long, remember, your story isn't over. God's promises are still true, His love is still strong, and your breakthrough is still coming. Join us for Messages of Hope, Words of Encouragement with Pastor Jesse, presented by Youth Fires. Hope lives here, only on TTT.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CSIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host, Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Kids, speak up against abuse.
It is not acceptable for you to be abused in any manner.
From your parents, family members, or peers.
You have the right
to refuse
the abuse.
Report it to anyone.
Guidance counselors,
doctors, teachers, or even your neighbors.
Anyone who can help.
Speak up
against abuse. Speak up. Speak up.
Speak up.
Speak up.
Break the silence. Child abuse is one secret you should never keep.
Well, as we open the show today, there is that fluctuation of oil prices currently happening. It's something that we are following closely. And this morning, joining us on the show, we have Mr. Anthony Tony Paul, a prominent TNT-based independent energy strategist and consultant with over 45 years of experience in petroleum and mining. Now, he also advises on policy and local content and is also a director at the Lloyd Best Institute of the Caribbean and is a principal consultant at ACES. Well, as we said before, he's joining the show now to chat about all the hot topics this morning, especially the ones that are affecting the oil and gas sector. So joining me via phone is Mr. Paul. Good morning, Mr. Paul. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Not a problem. And we are so appreciative that you're going to be weighing in on everything that's happening. Well, the hot topic, overnight we saw that drastic drop in oil prices after Mr. Trump spoke. So can you please explain, the current situation for those who are unfamiliar with what's happening? The situation in the Middle East, why is it causing oil prices to fluctuate globally?
Okay, so as all economists, everybody thinks about economics knows prices are a function of supply and demand. And once the war started in the Middle East, Iran threatened to block the Gulf of Hormuz. As you know, 20% of the world's oil and commodities and oil products pass through that strait. So immediately that puts strain on the market in terms of supply. And of course, as expected, that would push up prices. And that's what happened. And that is interesting because it then puts pressure on the main player in this war, President Trump, because his big election promise was to bring prices down, to bring cost of living down to Americans. And as anybody who's followed American news, the biggest indicator of the economy of prices in the United States is the cost of gasoline. Americans drive a lot. And of course, as soon as the war started, there was fear that the prices might go up. And it did go up quite a bit, and for good reasons. Like I said, the supply shrunk, and of course, the prices went up. But then something else happened more recently when Israel attacked some of the oil facilities in Iran. And that created a lot more pressure. That's what pushed the prices over $100. And if you were following the news, you might have heard that President Trump doesn't appear to have been happy with Israel for that, and for obvious reasons. And then that statement yesterday that the war might be short I think, is a measure of softening the market, helping the market get a little comfort. Markets move on confidence. And nobody knows how long this war will last. And of course, once prices go up, they will stay up if people think the war will last a long time. But saying the war will be shorter, I think was meant to bring prices down. So those are some of the things that bring the price fluctuation into play.
Mr. Paul, thanks for that, for breaking it down for us. So now we come to the most important question. How do these global changes actually affect Trinidad and Tobago, and particularly fuel costs and the wider economy?
Right. So Trinidad and Tobago benefits from exporting oil, natural gas, as liquefied natural gas, and products from natural gas. So those prices will go up. On the other hand, Trinidad doesn't have a refinery anymore, so we import all our fuels, except for some LPG, which we produce out of the natural gas. So kerosene, diesel, gasoline, even asphalt, we need to import. And those prices will go up, have gone up in the international market. So what will happen to the consumer is that the government of Trinidad and Tobago subsidizes those fuels, and therefore the price is kept at a fixed level for the consumer. The trouble is the government has been having difficulty meeting its obligations to fulfill the subsidy. And as we know, the government is running a deficit budget. So if this price goes much higher or stays higher for long, then the government subsidies will increase to a significant amount, where there will be somewhat strain on the treasury. So at the moment, people in Trinidad are protected from the higher prices at the moment. And it turns to the question of, are we getting more for our exports? Well, yes, Heritage exports oil, and Paria exports oil from some other producers. So those go to the market. We'll get some more revenue for that, for sure. And we export LNG. And as you know, LNG prices are way up, because not only is the Gulf shut down, but Qatar, the second biggest producer of LNG in the world, has shut down their facilities. So LNG will go up. And in addition to the price of the commodity going up, the price of shipping will go up, because 20% of the cargoes are in the Straits of Hormuz, and so therefore in the Gulf. So therefore those ships are locked in there, and the ships that were about to go in are full of cargo. So there's a shortage of shipping, and of course insurance rates will go up. So although we may get a higher price for the LNG we sell, we'll have higher costs. And one of the challenges Trinidad and Tobago faces is that we only own, in the current setup with Train 1 shutdown, we own 11.11% of the cargoes in Train 4, which produces nameplate 800 million cubic feet per day, but it's less than that. And our Trains 2 and 3, which together can process a billion cubic feet per day, we don't have any. So we only have a fraction of the LNG, so we only benefit from that. The majority of it is sold by BP and Shell. And as I've spoken about and written many times, they have a practice where they sell to their affiliated parties and report at a price lower than the market, a process called transfer pricing. So we don't get the actual value. And part of transfer pricing also includes ways of manipulating shipping and insurance prices, which we haven't addressed in Trinidad, but is a real factor in transfer pricing. Bottom line is we get less revenue than the real value of the LNG, and we have higher costs for the cost of shipping and insurance than the market, actually, equivalent market dictates. So how much we will get more is a question of how diligent the government is at implementing the law. And the law does make provisions for the Minister of Finance to determine the price that we get and for determining what costs are recoverable. The trouble is the mechanism that's in law and has been in law since 1974 has not been used since the year 2000 at least. So we've been getting a lower price than the value of the product. And this is not Tony Paul talking. This is an international consultant that the government hired under the previous UNC government. And they reckon that we lost $16+ billion in revenue to the state from 2010 to 2016. And the PNM government that came afterwards in 2015 put that report, 2016, put that report in Parliament. So it's a public document. clearly stated. Now, the last government did say they renegotiated the contract to get a better deal. Now, that better deal doesn't kick in until 2027. So the point is, the market, the sellers will get better prices. So Trinidad and Tobago top line will appear to get better revenue as a country, but not to the state. So how much we get is really a function of how diligent the Minister of Finance is and how diligent NGC is in determining who gets gas to process. Because what that report also said is the state gets a lot more money from Point Lisa's plants than from Atlantic plants. And NGC can determine who gets the gas and therefore how much profit the state makes. I don't know if that's too much of a mouthful, but that's, in a sense, the areas of where we have revenue from oil and gas and where we have expenditure from oil and gas.
Yeah. Mr. Paul, recently we saw the talks happening, especially at the summit, and there is some murmur of that restart of the Guaracara refinery. How do you think that would impact TNT's energy supply and help to really manage fuel costs in the future for us?
Well, having a refinery gives us security that we'll have fuel. At the moment, we have to depend on the market, and as market prices go up, we have to compete with others against pure lesser supply. So having a refinery is a source of security for energy, not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the Caribbean, because Point of Pearl provided fuel for the small islands of the Caribbean, and could do it at a better rate because the short distances to travel allowed for smaller vessels to carry those cargoes, which means lower day rates for carrying the cargo. So all in all, the islands in the Caribbean would have benefited from having a refinery here. So we would have benefited, our neighbors would have benefited. So having a refinery operating would certainly help us, and we would get fuel at a cheaper cost.
Yeah. Mr. Paul, I want to ask you this. The recent interest from the international energy companies, what do you think that means for Trinidad and Tobago's role in the regional energy market in general? Because we're seeing a lot of that talk, especially, the Minister of Energy was speaking about that, all these opportunities that might be popping up.
Oh, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago has a lot of potential remaining under the ground in terms of oil and gas, and that's my opinion. And I used to be a geologist. I have a sense of what is there. And the fact that Exxon came in the East Coast, they are following that trend from Guyana and Suriname, which in geological terms is a Cretaceous play. Cretaceous age rocks they're going after. Now, Exxon, Shell, Total, Mobil, Chevron all competed to go after those same rocks onshore in Trinidad because those rocks were penetrated onshore and in the Gulf of Paria by wells in the past. And they competed, and a consortium was put together with Exxon, Chevron, and Total to go after those. So Exxon was always interested in that, and in fact, they went after it in some deep water blocks later on. Didn't find it. So it's not surprising to me that the eyes of the world are on Guyana and that massive play and those massive high production rates. So Trinidad, being an extension, would actually attract the eyes of the world to that. On the other side, of course, with Venezuela coming into the eyes of the world with all that huge potential to produce oil from fields that have not been developed for many years because of low investment in infrastructure. Well, guess what? That's the same story in Trinidad, in the Gulf of Paria. So if you can attract eyes that are on Venezuela onto Trinidad and Tobago, then we can have people looking at investing in exploration and in Trinidad. Now, the refinery itself has more than one component that made it a refinery in the first place. We have the processing facility, the plant, and then we have the storage terminals, the storage tanks that store oil or product, and then we have the port and the terminal. Those are really valuable assets, and they are valuable for traders in particular. Now, listeners may recall a few years ago, oil went below zero in the U.S. And oil went below zero, not because it wasn't worthwhile, but because there was nowhere to store it. The tanks were full. So traders buy oil when it's cheap and put it in tanks in storage and keep it there until prices are high. So if Trinidad tanks were in workable condition, we could have been storing oil all the while, and now traders would be making a mint. So people are seeing that and are saying, we want those tanks. we want those tanks and the terminals in Point of Fear and Point 14 that can get ships in to take it out and bring product in. So those things, and given the eyes on Venezuela, it's no surprise that people are looking at Trinidad because, hang on, this is a nearby country, the same infrastructure, the same issues, but an easier governance system. Why don't you go there? So what we need for people to come here is to market ourselves a little bit better. I'm happy to hear the minister is thinking that that's been happening.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Anthony Paul, for weighing in on this discussion, breaking it down for not just the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but the world, everyone looking on. We really, really, really appreciate your contribution this morning.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. The time now, 6:30 a.m., Tuesday, 10th March. A special good morning to everyone looking on via the live stream. We see your comments. We see, that you're always checking in and telling us good morning. So a very special good morning to everyone on YouTube and also on Facebook. Remember, for all the stories that you see here and more, follow us at TTT Live Online. If you have a story idea, a press release, or simply you want to collaborate with us, you want to advertise with us, we would love to hear from you. Here's that email on the screen, tttoday@ttt.co.tt, and you can be a part of the conversation that's shaping our nation. Trinidad and Tobago Today, all the news you can trust, and of course, all the stories that matter. When we come back, we talk to a clinical psychologist, early identification of emotional and behavioral issues in our children. That's something you don't want to miss on TNT Today.
You could like a picture, you could like a post or something, and so many other people can see that, right? You might comment on something and think, oh, you're just commenting, but so many other people can see that as well. So I think managing those types of behaviors are also important in a relationship, because while you may not be actively going out doing something, you might for example, like a post or comment on something that is seemingly inappropriate, and that can cause some kind of friction in your relationship with your spouse.
Yes, you also cannot be naive. If you think by hiding from your spouse, by texting someone, or hiding from your spouse by by using social media, is hiding it from that person, it's open to the public.
Yeah.
So there's somebody else on the end of that text.
Receiving it.
Even
if it's an inbox and it's not public to everyone.
It's in the public domain.
Yes.
So if you're doing something that could violate the trust, the balance of your relationship, and there's another party involved, as you said, like direct messaging or texting, then you're leaving yourself open to exposure anyway.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
When it matters, we're there, reporting the news as it happens, because your world can't wait. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
This powerful verse from the Holy Quran invites us to embrace reflection, self-discipline, and spiritual renewal. Join us daily on TTT Limited for special Ramadan features, inspiring messages, heartfelt moments of devotion, and reflections that uplift our nation.
A symposium focused on addressing emotional and behavioral challenges among vulnerable youth in Trinidad and Tobago is set to take place in the coming days. Well, this event is being hosted by the Policy and Community Support Office of the Ministry of Homeland Security in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Department of Behavioral Sciences and Health Economics Unit, as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists. And this symposium, well, it will bring together the key stakeholders to examine the impact of crime and violence on our young people and explore ways to better identify, prevent, and of course, treat emotional and behavioral issues. So joining me this morning is Dr. Khatija Khan from the University of the West Indies. And Dr. Khan is a psychologist, clinician, and academic based at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. She's also the president of the Caribbean Alliance of National Psychology Associations and has held leadership roles in mental health, public service, and also domestic violence prevention across TNT. Her work also focuses on youth mental health, early identification of behavioral challenges, wellness, and improving access to psychological support. Well, Dr. Khan is on the line with us via Zoom, and she's also a part of this amazing new initiative. Good morning, Dr. Khatija Khan, and welcome to TNT Today.
Good morning, Virmala. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, well, this is a really interesting symposium, and I mean, it's something we all talk about, but it's time to really address it from, an early place. So tell us about the symposium. What inspired the need for this conversation? What is it all about? And why do we need this right now in Trinidad and Tobago?
So you're quite right. This is a very topical issue, and we know that many people feel very strongly about it, have a lot of opinions about it. So we do recognize that this is a pressing issue. We know that children and young people are growing up in a very complex social environment. They're impacted by crime and violence. They're impacted by family stresses, environmental stresses, and sometimes there's variable access to support. And all of the data and experience we have, it's telling us that there are increasing concerns with aggression, with behavioral disengagement, and therefore recognizing that this is an ongoing issue, this symposium seeks to further position this issue as a national priority. So as you mentioned, the Ministry of Homeland Security, in collaboration with the UE, TTAP, and many other national stakeholders, are coming together to promote an intersectoral, integrated approach.
Yeah, Dr. Khan, crime and violence are definitely affecting our young people. What are some of the warning signs, families or communities should be aware of, especially now that we're having this conversation about early detection?
I think there are many different kinds of signs that people can look out for. And I want to really stress that this is not just an individual problem where we're asking parents to look out for. This is something that can also be recognized within the community, within the school environment, any sector that children are engaging in. So we do want to look for changes in behavior. And I would say this, Virmala, many times people can recognize when there is an issue, but in terms of how do we respond? What are the next steps? How do we get this child the support and help that they need to, first of all, we want to prevent. So what we want is that these things don't happen, so that we're not seeing aggression, disengagement, antisocial behavior, or even the internalization, so where it leads to depression and anxiety and more negative outcomes like self-harm, etc. So what we want is to be able to identify those early signs, but even prior to that, what do we need to prevent these kinds of behaviors from occurring in the first place? And then what are those early signs that I mentioned? So parents need to be vigilant, teachers need to be vigilant, any adult who engages with children. We also want children and young people themselves to be able to recognize. And then finally, if we do recognize there's an issue, what are the avenues in all sectors? So education, children's authority, health, psychology, education. How should all of these sectors and state responses and community responses be coordinated to deal with it effectively?
Yeah, Dr. Khanna, we've been having this ongoing conversation about, school bullying. It's something that was also very topical. And last week, we also spoke to another clinician who was basically telling us about the early signs. How can parents really see that their children are being bullied? Or also, how can parents see that their children might be bullies as well? So it is all linked in some way. And you are absolutely right that early detection is the best way to address all of this. The older people have a saying, to straighten the tree while it's still young and all of that. Yeah, and it's using a multi-sectoral approach as well. And you spoke about all the key stakeholders being a part of this conversation. Why do you think it's important that all of these stakeholders come together? I know you have the support office of the Ministry of Homeland Security. You also have UE is involved. So when we all come together, what kind of results do you expect coming out of the panel discussions and all of that? What are you anticipating most?
I think it's a very critical component because we know that on their own, different sectors have been responding. We know that stakeholders and communities have been responding. But what we need is a greater strengthening of coordinated approaches. And so what that would help, it will help, one, share the ideas, solutions, and strategies, identify also what are some of these priority gaps and solutions that need to be addressed. And then we can also agree on what are some of these strategic areas for us to act on, and that will have impact now for policy and legislation. And that's where we need all of these stakeholders. We don't only need community stakeholders and NGO stakeholders, the academics, the researchers. We have judiciary, health, education, etc. We also need the policymakers in the ministries as well to come together so that we have this integrated approach that does not just stop at one level of the process. So we are tackling all of it so we can get an increased level of coordination, and hopefully the idea is that that's going to lead to an action plan that can help us strengthen the response, where we can see some tangible improvement in how we support children.
Yeah, Dr. Khan, in your opinion, your professional opinion, and your experience as well, how can parents, and people in the community play a role in supporting the vulnerable youth as well?
I'm going to suggest maybe two broad strategies, yes? I think the first one is we really need to understand what is going on with children and what kinds of things impact children. That when we see a child acting out, sometimes the tendency is just a straightforward knee-jerk reaction. That's a bad child. Something is wrong with them and we need to punish them. And yes, there needs to be consequences for actions. That's also how children learn. But we also need to understand what is causing that child to act in that way. So what are the factors within the home, within the community, within the school setting, within their neighborhood that is causing this child to act that way? And this symposium, one of the panels, it is going to address these things. What are some of those factors? So I do encourage parents to also consider what are some of the pressures that this child is facing? What is lacking in terms of how can I help my child to support their own mental health, to regulate their own behavior, to make better choices. And I really want to impress that that only works effectively when it's contained within a wider structure of support. That things that pertain to the family, they're also impacted by things in the community, in the school, and in the wider society. So we all have a role to play, and let's start with recognizing what is impacting my child. And then the second one is, how can I get them help? So it's not something that we can disregard, because a child who has these issues when they're young, if they're not addressed, these can develop into bigger issues. And then we end up with adults with issues, and then they get involved in the law, and these are negative consequences for them that can last a lifetime. So what we want then is the intervention and the management, that if there's an issue detected, how can we get this child the support they need as soon as possible? All the while having a child-centered approach where we recognize that with the right support and intervention, that we can support children into being healthy, productive, fulfilling adults.
Dr. Khan, my final question. Well, not question, but I want you to tell us a little bit about the symposium, when it's happening, and all the details.
Great. So this symposium is taking place on Thursday, the 12th, and it's titled, Vulnerable Youth, a multi-sectoral integrated approach. And as I mentioned, it's bringing together many stakeholders. So the collaborators that you mentioned, Ministry of Homeland Security, the UE, Health Economics Unit, Department of Behavioral Sciences, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists. But we also have other collaborators and stakeholders with us. So we have Children's Authority, Judiciary, Ministry of Education, TTPS, the Prison Service, National Parent Teachers Association, Division of Health and Wellness from Tobago. And we also have NGOs who are invited from the community. So we're all going to be there on Thursday to have these important conversations. And it's not just going to be a talk fest. I want to ensure you that coming out of this, there's going to be an action plan. And this is just the first step in other ongoing steps that are going to result in this strengthened, coordinated, intersectoral response.
I would look forward to keeping up with all of that. Thank you so much, Dr. Khadija Khan, for joining us this morning on Trinidad and Tobago Today. All the best in that symposium. The time 6:46 a.m. When we come back, we continue talking all about the University of the West Indies. Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
More news, more access, more ways to stay informed. TTT News covers the stories that matter on air and online. Join us nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. 'Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. Oh, shun mi ba fishani. Oh, shun mi ba.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exeter Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Applications are now open at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus, and I believe there's more than 200 undergraduate and postgraduate programs that are available, from humanities and creative arts to science, business and technology. UWI St. Augustine really is one of the Caribbean's leading institutions for higher education, and lots of flexible entry options, internationally recognized degrees, and of course opportunities for growth for all students attending. Well, this morning, joining us to tell us more about the application process and why you should apply to the UWI St. Augustine, and particularly why you should apply to the Faculty of Humanities and Education, is the senior lecturer there, Mr. Jessel Murray. Good morning, Mr. Murray.
Good morning, and for a first-time meeting, I have to say congratulations for pronouncing my first name correctly, because I've gotten all sorts of variations over the years.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I'm very proud. I'm a product of the UWI, that's why.
There we go. There we go. You see, one time I can say, yeah, I can tell. And I can also give an amendment that UWI is not one of the leading, but I would say the leading university system especially in the Anglophone West Indies. We're very proud of our particular traditions and our rankings. Every year, our Vice Chancellor reminds us it just keeps moving up and up. And it says to us, yes, that University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus in this particular case, is the place to be. I'm here, of course, this morning in one of my roles. You've mentioned some of them, but as the Deputy Dean for Distance and Outreach for the Faculty of Humanities and Education, which is one of the most diverse faculties in university. One on the campus, geographically, we're all over the campus, from the very north at Creative Arts all the way to the south to the film building, in which I'm currently because I'm the coordinator of the UWI film program. But we're looking at diversity in its particular way among the sets of programs that we offer. As you've stated, application season has been open since January and will continue until July 17th. And our tagline is always apply now. You're just 3 clicks away from getting your application done. You can just go online to the UWI website and you can access us easily because believe me, you can't miss the tag apply now. At the Faculty of Humanities and Education, we have quite a number of disciplines to which one can apply because, there's such a things here where we can do, there's history, there's literatures in English, there's French, there's theater, there's dance, there's film, and that's just a smattering of what you can get at the Faculty of Humanities and Education. And we encourage you to apply now.
Yeah. Mr. Murray, UWI also, as I started, offers flexible entry options. What exactly does that mean for students who want to apply to the University of the West Indies?
All right. So at the undergraduate level, first of all, there are flexible entry from our many certificate programs. So students who are leaving CSEC can matriculate directly into any number of programs. There's a generalist, the certificate in the humanities, and from the humanities you can go anywhere into the FHE, Faculty of Humanities and Education. But also as well, I love this photo that's coming up here because those are 2 students who are part of our visual arts, which is one of the things that we offer. There's music, there's dance, 2 sets of theater as well. All of those are things that one can access. At the undergraduate level, you can enter via CAPE, you can enter via associate degrees. Any number of things can get you into our particular program. So there are lots of ways to access what we do. And then once you are in, especially at the degree level, you have flexible options in terms of doing your studies either part-time, this is not to be confused with evening, but part-time programs, or you can go as a full-time student, or you can go back and forth depending on your circumstance. Lots of flexibility.
Well, Mr. Murray, I know from, attending UE back in my day, it's also
And I
a
clap
full...
again, clap, clap, clap.
It's also a full experience. It's not just an academic experience. There's also lots of other things and ways that students can benefit from the University of St. Augustine.
Yes.
Before we go, tell us a little bit about that.
So when you're in, and we are trying to even now to encourage students to take part of the more than 100 or so clubs which are available. One of the things which which is built into our particular system on Thursdays is that students it's all student time from 1 till 4, and you can access any number of clubs which are on offer. Everything from the performing arts to visual arts to specialty types of things that are there. And one of the things I should also mention that is one of the great attributes of having a St. Augustine education. They're competitive places for study abroad, especially in your second year, which are done at UE rates. And we have connections with places besides South America and France, but also in North America, Canada, and the United States. So you can come here and get the rich experience both on campus, but you can also get it off campus, regionally, and also internationally. And I always tell people it's a great selling point, and you get to do it at Trinidad and Tobago rates.
Well, thank you so much, Senior Lecturer, and also you said Deputy Dean, Mr. Jessel Murray, Faculty of Humanities and Education we're representing for this morning, right?
The FHE, yes.
That's right. All right, thank you so much for joining us, and go check out the website and apply. The website is on the screen. Thank you so much, Mr. Murray.
Thank you so much for this.
All right, take care. Just about 4 minutes before 7 o'clock, a short break before the news carry comes up with the major network news at the top of the hour.
Talk City 91.1. Thought-provoking conversations, bold perspectives, voices you trust. Talk City 91.1, bigger, bolder, and more powerful than ever before.
Yes, Talk City 91.1 FM.
A brand new era of talk radio is here. With voices you know, trust, and respect. Get ready for an all-new lineup of the very best in talk. Andy Williams, Lennox Smith, Stephen Reese, Mr. X, Derek Charbodi, Roland Stewart, Sharon Farfan, Sudath Prasad, Heavy Duty, Alex Asing, Karen Francisco, Cherry Lean Lewis, Short Pants, and more of the voices shaping the national conversation. From hard-hitting current affairs to real community issues, culture, politics, social development, and the stories that matter most to you. This is where Trinidad and Tobago comes to talk.
It's all good right here on Talk City 91.1, where we're going to give you something new, something hot every day, Monday to Friday.
Listen on 91.1 FM and connect on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Talk City 91.1. Your city, your voice.
The road back to trust is one, accountability for the person on the other side who's been violated, but transparency on the person who did the violation. Mm-hmm. A marriage between the two helps you get back to trust. Mm-hmm. Here is why. If I violate your trust and I am so transparent to the point where you no longer, after 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 10 months, whatever the time frame is, you no longer feel nervous about checking my phone because you know there's nothing to hide, then that anxiety comes down, it wanes. And there's always a bridge back to where you need to be. And I think accountability is important, but you cannot have accountability or transparency. You cannot expect your spouse to know what that looks like if you don't have a conversation.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CSIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host, Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
It's that time of the year again, my friends. Feel it in the air. Football football. It's back. Everyone's locked in. This is Richard Torpedo Thompson, and my Trinidad and Tobago people, I'll stay this straight. Fans make the game. Cheers, chants, passion. That's the heartbeat of football. There's only one 12th man that really brings the energy. That's Andre Errol Batiste on TTT. Every Thursday on TTT. Don't miss it.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Trinidad and Tobago's bid to become a leading Caribbean transport hub received a boost on Sunday with the launch of the Inter-Caribbean Airways new service connecting Trinidad and Barbados. Just a month after Winner inaugurated its route between Trinidad and Tobago and St. Martin, another regional carrier, Inter-Caribbean Airways, has officially launched a service between Trinidad and Barbados. Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Eli Zakur, noted that Inter-Caribbean already links more than 20 destinations throughout the region and said this expansion signals growing confidence in TNT.
Just over a month ago, we gathered here to welcome another airline to our shores with the launch of a new regional air service to Trinidad and Tobago. Today's event continues that positive momentum and reflects the growing confidence in our country as a gateway for Caribbean travel and connectivity.
Founder and chairman of Inter-Caribbean Airways, Lyndon Gardner, expressed the importance of Barbados Trinidad and Tobago route to the airline.
Trinidad and Tobago is the largest economy in the English-speaking Caribbean, the largest oil and gas producer in the region, a financial center with an educated professional workforce that moves constantly across the Caribbean on business. Energy executives, financial services professionals, engineers, lawyers, consultants, these are not leisure travelers with flexible schedules. These are professionals who need frequency and connectivity.
Inter-Caribbean is scheduled to operate 4 flights weekly. Tackling the serious issue of violence against women in Trinidad and Tobago requires looking beyond individual incidents. This according to THA Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith Brebner. She emphasized the need to address the deeper social factors that contribute to this persistent problem. She believes part of the solution lies in the way boys and men are raised and how society supports their emotional development. Dr. Brebner argued that reducing such violence demands honest national conversations about the experiences, expectations, and pressures shaping boys and men.
The statistics show that most times violence against women is perpetrated by men, which means we need to start having deep, honest conversations with our boys and men. We need to find out what is causing them to react the way they react.
Dr. Brebner added that any meaningful solution must also confront the way boys are socialized from an early age. While girls are often encouraged to express their emotions, she said boys are frequently taught to suppress theirs.
And what we are doing is, in essence, saying to that little boy that you are not allowed to feel hate, that you are not allowed to express that you felt it, and that you are not allowed to be a human being. And then we wonder why this little boy then turns into the monster that he becomes when he is, 25, 30 years old.
In some sport now, the Powergen Secondary School Cricket League Premiership 1 Division title is set to be decided today, Tuesday, in the 7th and final round. All eyes will be on Presentation College San Fernando as they aim to secure the top spot in Division 1 with a win over Shiva Boys Hindu College, who currently sit in 5th place. A victory for Presentation College San Fernando would not only clinch the title, but also see them complete their Division 1 campaign unbeaten, a remarkable achievement that would cap off a dominant season. Their closest rival, second place Presentation College, College Sergones will be hoping for an upset, as only a defeat for San Fernando would open the door for them. If Presentation College Sergones can secure a win against their final round opponents, fourth place Vishnu Boys Hindu College, they too could claim the Division 1 crown, setting up a dramatic finish to the season. The clash promises excitement as both teams look to assert their dominance and end the season on a high note, keeping fans on the edge of their seats until the final whistle. And that was your TTT News update. I'm Carrie Roberts. After the break, we return to Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exeter Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Your stories, your communities, your country. TTT News is everywhere, on the ground, across Trinidad and Tobago, and on every smart device. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
A new season equals new dreams, and many football fans are dreaming of their team actually winning this season. But the reality is that only one team can win. So many will just be dreaming and wishing and hoping that their team can deliver. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Notice I have not mentioned Arsenal. Don't be upset, I'm not mentioning Man U either. This is Atto Bolden inviting all of you to follow the 12th man as they celebrate a new season on TTT and enjoy the ride.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is still hope. When the weight feels heavy and the night feels long, remember, your story isn't over. God's promises are still true, His love is still strong, and your breakthrough is still coming. Join us for Messages of Hope, Words of Encouragement with Pastor Jesse, presented by Youth Fires. Hope lives here, only on TTT.
Did you know that World Consumer Rights Day is coming up? That's March 15th, just a few days away. Well, the focus this year is on safe products, confident consumers. Again, that's safe products, confident consumers. And while this day highlights the importance of protecting consumers and ensuring that the goods and services people purchase are safe, fair, and reliable. Also, here in Trinidad and Tobago, that responsibility falls largely to the Consumer Affairs Division of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which works to safeguard the economic interests of consumers. While this division also focuses on consumer protection and redress, consumer education, and of course empowerment and consumer research, helping to investigate complaints, enforce consumer laws, educate the public, and monitor market trends that affect consumers. Well, joining me on set this morning to discuss the importance of consumer rights, what should we know We're joined this morning by Mr. Bevan Narayan Singh, the Executive Director of the Fair Trading Commission of Trinidad and Tobago, and Miss Anne-Marie Sao, the Senior Consumer Advocate of the Consumer Affairs Division at the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So firstly, tell us about the Consumer Affairs Division in Trinidad and Tobago. What is its role for those people who may be a little bit unfamiliar?
All right. So the Consumer Affairs Division is the consumer and advocacy arm of the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism. Now, over time, it was Trade and Industry, and recently became Trade and Investment. So, of course, I have to stop on Trade and Investment and Tourism. Right. So we are umbrellaed under that ministry. At the division, we are responsible or charged with the responsibility, as you just said, to safeguard the economic interests of consumers through three main areas. So we have consumer protection and redress, we have consumer research, and thirdly, we have education and empowerment. Right, and the division is divided into the consumer protection and safety unit and the research unit. And the core, the consumer protection and safety unit is the core unit. We are supported by the research unit, and in this unit we do the investigations, we do the education out into the public domain, and this is we educate consumers mainly so that they can have that power to do their own negotiation.
Yeah. So now we come to World Consumer Rights Day. I know a lot of people probably don't know that that day exists, but what exactly is that, and what about the activities for this year that are being planned for this year?
Now, World Consumer Rights Day is recognized every year on March 15th. Now, this year the theme is Safe Product, Confident Consumers. Every year we have a theme, and that's the theme for this year. Safe products, confident consumers. And a consumer could only be confident to purchase a product if they know that it's safe to purchase.
Yeah, and why was that theme relevant this year more than before? Is it, just a concern that we are doing a lot of irresponsible things as consumers?
Not so much, It's, we are a more open market.
I see.
Everything passes through.
Yeah.
And you, the consumer now, have to do your due diligence. You have to do your research, gather your information, read your labels, ask your questions. And when you're shopping, you as well have to ensure that, you have to be vigilant.
Yes.
Ensure that the supplier that you're going to is well established. Now, it doesn't mean that the product you purchase may not have a manufacturer's defect, because remember, machines are manufacturing. It's not one man manufacturing a product. Machines are mass producing. So it doesn't mean that the product you purchase, although you've done your due diligence, it doesn't mean that it may not come with a defect. However, after you've done your research and you ensure you purchase it from an established supplier, you can go back to them, explain yourself, and then they will do their part. Yeah. Ensure you keep your receipts, because receipts are fading. Your warranties, it's fading. Take a picture.
Yes. I can do
copy.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have...
And a picture holds up?
Of course it does.
Okay, great.
So in the market, we have so many suppliers. Many suppliers, different brands are flooding the market, and you have severe competition out here.
Yes.
Right? So this year, we are hosting an expo on the Brian Lara Promenade opposite Nicholas Towers on Friday, 13th of March from 10:30 to 4. We have different agencies. We have consumer protection agencies there that will give you information. You may get tokens, you may get certain gifts, you get packages. So you come in to us there from 10:30 to 4. You have the anti-illicit trade organization. You have Chemistry, Foods and Drug Ministry of Health. You have Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards. You have us. You have a couple of others. You come in, get all your information. As I said, you get tokens as well. So, yeah.
I love the tokens part. Mr. Narayan Singh, what's your take on all of this? You are the Executive Director of the Fair Trading Commission, and your role in everything happening for World Consumer Rights Day.
Well, and again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today, this morning. Well, World Consumer Rights Day, I think, reinforces the fact that consumers have the right to accurate information and safe products, and they need to be confident in the choices that they make. And because of that, businesses also have a duty. So the Fair Trading Commission, our role and function and mandate under the Fair Trading Act is to promote, protect, and maintain competition in Trinidad and Tobago. But this day, World Consumer Rights Day, reinforces the fact that when you hear about competition, you think about prices. That's the first thing, the more competition, lower prices. But it also means that businesses have a duty to take into consideration the interests of the safety of consumers. So when you are in the marketplace, not only are we concerned about prices, but we have to ensure that the right products are being produced, where consumers can feel safe, reliable products are being produced as well. And in our advocacy efforts, we do a lot of work with the business community. We tend to stress that you need to also be efficient and have high quality goods and services if you need to, and if you want to keep your consumers happy, if you want to have your market share. So that is why it's very important that there's a market that provides not only cheap products, but also high quality products and safe products. So that is why, this World Consumer Rights Day, and its theme particularly this year, is particularly relevant to the work of the Fair Trading Commission. And as a result of that, we're involved in a lot of advocacy efforts during this week.
Yeah. On a more broader note, what are some of the most common complaints these days that consumers are bringing forth?
Cell phones, laptop, toys, and appliances.
Really?
Small appliances in particular.
Oh, even with all the information and the awareness campaigns that you have going on, people are still, of course, just falling for a lot of these issues that are happening. Also, what would you tell the viewers this morning? How do you better protect yourself when you're making purchases or doing business?
Firstly, you do your research. You know what you're looking for, you do your research. You check the labels, you read your labels, ensure you read your labels. Please look for especially if it's an edible, look for your best before date, because we have been getting complaints, suppliers, they white it off, they remove it. Whatever they use, they remove the best before date.
Is there a penalty for something like that?
That's something the Ministry of Health deals with.
Right.
Right? So they would deal with something like that. That's why they will be with us on Friday supporting us. Okay. They would give you that information and tell you what is required, what you need to do. There are different agencies in Trinidad that deals with different issues. Right now, if you're not aware, then you can come to us, the Consumer Affairs Division. But as a consumer, you have to have active participation from consumers themselves. So you have to do your due diligence as a consumer. We can't do everything for you. We educate you, we guide you, we give you the information. So you do what is required, what you need to do in order to ensure that the product you get is safe. All right? When consumers have issues, suppliers are refusing to help them, then they come to us, the Consumer Affairs Division, and we take the complaint, we do our investigation, and we try our best to ensure you get the best possible redress for the situation that you are in. Right? You can call us at 800-4277. We have a toll-free number. You email us at consumeraffairs@gov.tt, and we have 4 complaints desks in the corporation. Penal Corporation, we are in the Sugar Owners Corporation, and we are in the Point Fortin Corporation. We are on Balize Street in Couva. So you can always call and find out, and we'll let you know what's going on. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram, you get all our information. And we help you. Groceries are a thing, it's always increasing. The prices are such. And what we do for you, we go out, our research department go out into particular groceries. We get something we call a basket of goods that consume per week or monthly, as the case may be, that consumers would use on a daily basis, and we publish the prices for you. So rather than drive around, you can go on our Facebook page and you would see the prices. We try our best to make it as easy as possible to give you that power in your hand as a consumer.
Yeah.
Right?
And bringing it back to World Consumer Rights Day that's taking place. I know you have an event. Mr. Rising, what are you looking forward to most? I know Ms. South spoke about the tokens, but I'm sure you're looking forward to a lot as well as tokens.
Yeah, well, what I'm looking forward for, as Ms. Sau had indicated, to have a fair and competitive market, you cannot do it alone. There needs to be a synergy among actually, the business community, the regulators such as us, Consumer Affairs Division, as well as the consumer. You need to contact us. Now, with respect to the work of the Fair Trading Commission, as Ms. Sau was indicating, her work is very corrective after the fact. We are very preventive before the fact. If indeed consumers are feeling unsafe in terms of the products that they have in the market, it could be a structural issue in terms of the kind of goods and services that are being provided to them. So if they come to us and indicate that probably one of the reasons might be we don't have a lot of choice, we, through our regulatory work, taking action against anti-competitive activity, could encourage greater competition. So more choice, the better. And also we, in our work, when we interact with the business community, because we are more direct with the business community as opposed to the consumer, we also encourage them to keep a high quality goods and services, because if they don't, they will lose their share. They have to be competitive and efficient, because we try to, and this government as well, in terms of policies, have tried to encourage a freer market where there are a lot of competitors in the market. Of course, they have to meet certain regulatory requirements, but if they are in the market, we have to ensure that they are operating correctly, and we try to ensure that, encourage them that, to keep your reputation at a high level, you need to produce safe goods, because the consumer has the right to that. So we're very looking forward to this. This is not only our only interaction, of course, with what Consumer Affairs is doing as well, but we're also doing some work with the Consumer Affairs Unit, Division of Finance in the THA as well, Tobago House Assembly, and we'll be involved with some of their efforts as well too, because you can see that having safe products and confident consumers requires all of us to play our part.
That's right. And for more information, as Ms. Southside, you can get that on their socials as well. Well, we spoke about World Consumer Rights Day. That's coming up on March 15th, just a few days away. Thank you so much to our guests, Ms. Anne-Marie Sau and Mr. Bevan Aransing, for joining us. The time, 7:21. We take a break, and when we come back, the show continues on TNT Today.
Introducing the new Sun Mix Nut Bar. Available in 3 delicious flavors: granola raisin nut, almond cranberry crunch, and coconut almond crisp. All packed on a rich bed of dark chocolate.
Taste the good life, snack right. Taste the good life anytime. Good life, good life.
Sun Mix Sunshine Snacks Sun Mix Nut Bar. Taste the good life.
Your world moves fast, so do we. TTT News brings you the people, events, and issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay ahead. TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Unleash your imagination with TTT's terrific Toon Time. Join us as we stop evil geniuses from taking over the world from Super Z, or hop on board for a journey into outer space with Galaxy Kids. Be a part of our quest to save the forests alongside our robot pals from Bugs Bot Ignition. Or let's go exploring with Duda and Dada. Catch terrific Toon Time weekdays at 4:15 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. It's fun-filled adventure with terrific Toon Time right here on TTT.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CSIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host, Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
This powerful verse from the Holy Quran invites us to embrace reflection, self-discipline, and spiritual renewal. Join us daily on TTT Limited for special Ramadan features, inspiring messages, heartfelt moments of devotion, and reflections that uplift our nation.
Trinidad and Tobago has taken a major step forward in advanced healthcare with the opening of the International Hyperbaric Medical Facility in Marabella. Did you know about that? Well, it's the country's first center offering advanced hard shell hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And while this facility focuses on providing new treatment options for patients dealing with diabetic wounds, chronic non-healing wounds, burns, and certain neurological conditions, cases that in the past often required people to travel abroad for specialized care. So this is huge. Well, this type of therapy works by placing patients in a pressurized chamber where they breathe 100% oxygen, helping to increase their oxygen levels in the blood, promote tissue repair, and support faster healing. And this center combines this type of therapy with advanced wound care and modern medical technologies to improve recovery and reduce risks such as amputations for diabetic patients. So before it gets to that point, there is still so much that you can do. And joining us this morning to talk about this really innovative treatment is Dr. Tyler Sexton, president of the American Association of Hyperbaric Medicine, along with Ms. Candice Adams, marketing consultant on this project. So good morning to you both, and thank you for being here.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us.
Well, congratulations on this groundbreaking introduction of this type of therapy to Trinidad and Tobago. Firstly, was this present in Trinidad and Tobago before? Was it on the market, or is it the first of its kind in the country?
So, Virmala, just exactly what you said. It is the first of its kind. There are other chambers on the market. And you would hear us talk about this, you would see it online, see it all over the social media pages. This facility, the chamber that it has, is one of its kind. It's the first Class A hard shell chamber. So essentially, in layman's terms, and Dr. Tyler could get deeper into it, is yes, there are other chambers, but this chamber does what the other chambers does a little bit more intensely, right? It does what the other chambers could do much faster and at a quicker healing period and healing journey for patients.
So, doctor, tell us now, what exactly is hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Tell us about this medical facility. Break it down for us.
Absolutely. So it's an honor to be here. But hyperbaric oxygen therapy is, as stated, you must be inside a specialized chamber called a hyperbaric chamber, and you breathe oxygen. And that oxygen is delivered to your body as a drug. It gets delivered into your tissues and does a variety of different things. It can heal wounds. It can grow new blood vessels. It fights infections. It reverses hypoxia, which is a fancy word for lack of oxygen, anywhere in the body. It also is the best anti-inflammatory. So if you have swelling or pains, aches, it's better than any steroids you can take. This treatment is one of a kind. This chamber is used for dive accidents still at this point. It's used for diabetic foot ulcers, issues with radiation and cancer injury, and it is a very benign or safe treatment. You sit there, you breathe oxygen, and we can heal wounds where other physicians and individuals would say it needs to be amputated. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I tell people all the time as a physician, you can't build a house with just a hammer. You need tools. The same goes in medicine. Hyperbaric medicine is one of your best tools that you add to your treatment regimen to bring healing to your patients. And you will find that these wounds that otherwise would require amputation, about 75% of the time or greater, with quality wound care that can be provided alongside hyperbaric medicine, people can keep their legs. And we know that if you save a limb, you save a life. That if you lose your leg, if you have diabetes or any case, that the risk of dying is higher than that of most cancers. And I have devoted my life to bringing this treatment to islands like this. And our chamber is a double lock, can hold 6 people at a time, and is the most advanced in the region and the most comfortable. So the patients can come in and get the most dynamic treatment and also with the most expert care filled with compassion to change their lives.
Dr. Saxton, before we continue with the medical aspect of the facility, Candice, I want to come back to you for a second. There is definitely a gap in healthcare when it comes to, facilities like this. And a lot of people associate this treatment with overseas care. So, it was really significant to have this opening and also this service available locally. So a lot of people won't have to go away and we actually have it at home, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
yes,
so
that is correct.
Yeah. So now that
facility,
sure, continue.
On, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
So
you go
facility, ahead. So to touch on the gap and it only being available internationally, this is actually the reason why the facility was birthed. It was birthed out of a family's need for care for a kid with cerebral palsy. So a lot of research went into it, a lot of deep diving, a lot of conversations were had with regards to bringing this facility. It wasn't just a random thing like, okay, they're doing this in the US, they're doing this over here, let's just bring it in. It actually was birthed from a personal need.
Wow.
For exactly the same reason, to prevent having families have to go away and to have affordable and convenient access to this type of care.
Yeah, which brings me to my next question for you, Doctor. I know you're looking at neurological conditions like cerebral palsy and autism as well. How does that work? How does hyperbaric medicine work to support patients with these conditions?
That's a great question. And I'll just tell you personally, I have cerebral palsy too. I was a 28-weeker and was told I'd never walk, talk, or even be a doctor. And hyperbaric medicine was part of my journey, much younger, to sit where I'm sitting today. And how hyperbaric medicine works is with cerebral palsy or neurological conditions, is all of these conditions are linked with brain lack of oxygen, what's called cerebral hypoperfusion, which is a fancy name for lack of oxygen to the brain. Hyperbaric medicine can bring oxygen to the brain and heal those tissues. It also reduces swelling of the brain. If you've had a injury of any kind, the brain naturally, when you get hurt, punched, cut, right, the body will swell, right? That's what it always does. The problem in the brain is swelling is very bad, and it can cause issues. And it can happen when you're a baby, whether you've had a stroke, when you have autism. And hyperbaric medicine can heal that swelling, and it can grow new blood vessels and new neurons in place. And when you do that, that allows the brain is the most miraculous organ that we have. When you grow the things that it needs, then the body can compensate and it can do incredible things. I have numerous stories, ma'am, of patients with autism or cerebral palsy that couldn't speak for the first time that said, I love you to their parents. Every study, when you look at hyperbaric oxygen therapy, for example, shows a quality of life for these parents. And I know what it's like to live a life. I was a pediatrician. I have 25 years of experience in hyperbaric oxygen therapy. These parents are desperately looking for hope, and not just snake oil, not just empty promises. This is real medical fact, real treatment that can bring dynamic change to their lives. And if you can get your child to eat for the first time, to speak for the first time, to tell you I love you, to take their first steps, that's a life-changing thing. And now you can do that here in Trinidad. And I have been all over the country, all over the world, from India to the Grenada to Trinidad. I love the Caribbean. That's where I studied. That's where I live half the year, so forth. And I know the access to care is so necessary. So it's a passion product for us. And as Candice said, to have a team that genuinely cares, first and foremost, for the community, to bring radical medical care, the most experts you can have. And I mean this humbly, as president of the American College of Hyperbaric Medicine, these protocols are grounded in science, and they are here to change people's lives. And that's our promise to you. We are going to give you hope along with the most dynamic and impressive medical care.
Yeah, Doctor, that's actually really heartwarming to hear. And thanks for sharing your story with us. I have a family member with cerebral palsy, and I know that it puts a tremendous strain on the family members, the relatives, the mom, the dad, everyone. And this provides such a good opportunity for treatment for these neurological conditions. And Candice, we may also be looking at Trinidad and Tobago as a destination for medical tourism as well, with the creation of this facility and the establishment of the facility. What do you think about that?
Correct. And that is all part of the reason behind the name International Hyperbaric Medical Facility Limited, for exactly that reason. Because the chamber, the facility is one of a kind. The purpose that it was implemented was not just to service Trinidad and Tobago, but also the region. Now, when you also look at internationally, dollar for dollar, someone in North America may find it more affordable to come to Trinidad for hyperbaric oxygen treatment in a tropical paradise. So there are also opportunities there for people who want options outside of the region with regards to affordability, believe it or not, because they are dividing by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Candice, if someone, or a doctor as well, if someone believes that they might benefit from this type of therapy, looking on this morning, what is the first step before they can begin treatment, or how do they get in touch with you?
So that's an excellent question. The first step is a consultation with one of the facility's certified hyperbaric medical physicians, which is simply one of the doctors who has been certified, who has been trained, a ton of education and experience behind the medicine and as well related to the chamber. All you need to do is call the office at 658-1402 or 799-1402 to book a consultation. Even if their personal doctor or specialist has referred them, the consultation is still the first step. What happens in the consultation is their current condition will be assessed, as well as their medical history, to determine if HBOT treatment is indeed approved for them. And then based on their condition, once they're cleared for HBOT treatment, the doctor will now determine how many dives, which essentially means how many sessions they would need for their healing journey.
Well, Doctor, on a closing note, what would you tell our viewers this morning interested in this type of therapy, and how would you convince them that this works? Give it a shot. Sometimes people are really desperate to find something locally because, as we spoke about, it is expensive to travel abroad. And this being here is really, really groundbreaking.
No, absolutely. I appreciate that. And being on the other side, the thing I would tell them is, I've lived where you've lived. This facility represents the highest combination of medical expertise available. We have the ability to assess your wounds with a special camera to look at the vasculature. We have a special device called the NeuroCatch to look at the brain. We can say before hyperbarics, in the middle of hyperbarics, and after hyperbarics, your brain is healing. And here's what's happening. What I would tell people is, I know what it's like to be told that you can't do something. It can't be done. I tell people all the time, I tell my patients, I run facilities all over the country. I say, listen, you're going to have an amputation or you're going to have this. If I'm wrong, you have that anyway. But if I'm right, you're going to walk out of here healed and you're not going to lose your leg, or you're going to be better. And I mean this humbly when I tell you this. I'm not being cocky. We are right more than we're wrong. And I will tell you that limb salvage is the key. And I can take wounds, and this team can take their wounds, whether they be internal, neurologically, or whatnot, and we can heal those. And if they're external, in the terms of wounds or radiation damage or burns, we can change your life. So I tell the patients, I tell the listeners out there, what do you have to lose? Come take a chance. Come take a moment to learn from us, to learn from me, to learn from the other incredible physicians, and let us be a part of your healing journey. We are not telling you to stop seeing your doctors. I want the doctors out there to hear me too. We are not here to steal your patients. We are here to offer a better treatment option, a treatment option that can be added to your medication, to your antibiotics, and to your wound care. And if you do that, your patients will be dramatically impacted. So I tell people, take the chance. Come learn about hyperbaric medicine, because I can promise you there's over 56 treatments or diagnoses that you probably don't even know about. And in this short segment, which has been beautiful, we cannot cover the vastness and the depth, pardon the pun, of what hyperbaric medicine can do for you. So come jump in, dive in, and let us serve you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Tyler Sexton and Candace Adams, for joining me this morning. Well, we leave you with a testimonial from someone who actually used hyperbaric therapy. Here's that for you now.
Social media, I saw the opening ceremony and I heard about this before. I saw it on YouTube. Right, so I have neuropathy. Recently started the neuropathy on my feet. I also had a lung problem. Right, so when I consulted the doctor here, he told me this will be good for the lungs, but of course it is good for the neuropathy too. Okay, so with the lung problem, I have shortness of breath. And this, I have been going through this for quite a long time. I used to be a heavy smoker, so it developed from that. The neuropathy part of it is my foot was off recently. About a month ago, I started getting stinging, burning sensation in my feet. If I walk on the ground, I feel like splinters going into my feet.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success, because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
This Ramadan, join me, Sherilyn Lewis, for Ramadan Reflections, a weekly television series exploring meaningful conversations on fasting and the significance of the holy month. Airing every Tuesday at 8:05 p.m. on TTT, beginning Tuesday 24th February, we delve into real, relatable topics that inspire spiritual growth, discipline, and understanding during Ramadan. Let's reflect, learn, and grow together this blessed month.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
That time of the year again, my friends. You can feel it in the air. Football, football, football. It's back. Everyone's locked in. This is Richard Torpedo Thompson, and my Trinidad and Tobago people. I'll stay this straight. Fans make the game. Cheers, chants, passion. That's the heartbeat of football. There's only one 12th man that really brings the energy. That's Andre Errol Batiste on TTT. Every Thursday on TTT. Don't miss it.
A special good morning to all our viewers on TTT, and of course, if you're streaming us live on Facebook and YouTube, also a special good morning to you. Remember, if you have any ideas for us, email us at tttoday@ttt.co.tt. Well, each and every Tuesday, we have the honor and privilege of being joined by our very favorite Shamla Maraj with Redefining Normal. This morning, Shamla is talking about shifting stereotypes with her guest. Let's join her now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Redefining Normal with me, Shamla. Today, I have a very special guest from North Carolina, Matthew Schwab. He is a self-advocate. He does many things. He's a dancer. He's a TED Talk speaker. He does multiple things. So Matthew is here. He will be in Trinidad on the 18th and the 19th as the honorary speaker, the guest speaker or the featured speaker for the Down Syndrome Family Network's annual conference. And Matthew is here today just to talk about, his advocacy work. So good morning, Matthew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure, Matthew. So, Matthew, as a self-advocate, what message do you hope to share in Trinidad and Tobago when you come?
I am an adult with Down syndrome, so I have a unique perspective. I want everyone to know that all of our stories deserve to be heard. And I want everyone, from parents, teachers, community members, and even individuals with Down syndrome, to understand that. And I just want to spread my message.
Fantastic that everybody's stories need to be heard because we are all unique in our own way. So you work in the hospitality industry. Why is inclusive employment important for people with Down syndrome?
People with Down syndrome deserve a chance to contribute to the world, because we are vital for the world.
Very good. Excellent. So what advice would you give employers about hiring people with Down syndrome?
My advice is that we are dedicated, loyal, reliable, and punctual employees. We actually have positive and measurable effects on your leadership development and collaboration. There are studies to prove it.
Excellent. So so you have been in acting and sports, dancing, that shaped your confidence. How has acting, sports, and dancing shaped your confidence?
Every new skill and every new activity I learn gains confidence for me. Like the two great examples are swimming and acting, because I've always seen myself as comfortable in the water. Years pass, but I'm learning new skills too. Having a swim teacher basically, and I'm getting confident day by day with that. And with the acting, I never saw myself as an actor at first. I've done community theater before and during and after high school, but not professional acting. And I did. It was just a wonderful time, and I got to actually work with our already established actors, which is amazing. And another great example is the ballroom dancing. I've done ballroom dancing with my fiance, Lucia Romano, for over 5 years. And learning new stuff gains confidence for both me and Lucia.
It shows that you're brave, and it shows that, you can do anything you want to be, and this doing things that you think that you can't do brings confidence. So this year's conference is themed Together Against Loneliness. What does that mean to you?
To me, it means that people with Down syndrome should not just live in their communities. We should feel like we belong in our communities. Because overall, it's not just the others without disabilities that are contributing. It has to be everyone. Because regardless if you have a disability or not, everyone does not want to be lonely, alone.
We are social.
Yes.
Yes. So in terms of, so this year, you're going to get married, I read. Right?
Yes.
You have a fiance. So I would like to ask, how did you meet your fiance? And how has that relationship supported you?
Good question. Because I actually met Lucia Romano when we were babies.
Wow.
Because our moms did something, like a parents gathering, mom's night out, and I didn't have actual memory of it. I been told by my fiance and my parents, because my fiance was about a little older, barely older than me, but over the years, it was just our moms connecting. So if we were lucky, Lucia and I would see each other during that time period, occasionally. But fast forward to 2013, our moms fixed us up on a date, and look where it's led to today. Lucia and I are now getting married, and this September 26th, and it's been one amazing ride with her, and one of the skills that I'm learning from this is that I always it allows me to think of anyone but myself, because it's not just a one-sided relationship. It has to be a both-sided relationship. And for those who have disabilities, with Down syndrome as well, it's not just the individuals like me, for example, me and Lucia. For that kind of thing, it has to be Lucia, me, and our moms. There are two package deals in this relationship. And because all of us need to be on the same page.
That is excellent. I think you should write on your bio resume, to give relationship advice, because not many people see that like that these days. They focus on themselves, but it's always I guess, a partnership. So you're coming here, right?
Yes.
For the 18th and 19th, as I mentioned. What would you like to tell everybody? I leave it off to you. What advice would you like to give other people with Down syndrome?
Just be yourself and be patient, because our lives are different. People with disabilities and Down syndrome, we do things by a prolonged timeline. So be patient, be calm, and find ways to not only be yourself, but to also advocate for change in any level you want, from local, state, or national. Overall, the key is advocacy, both for the self and for others in our disability community.
Matthew, it was truly an honor to have you. And I am sure Trinidad and Tobago is looking forward to having you. and you would be such an impactful speaker at the conference. So thank you very, very much, Matthew, for taking the time to do this interview. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me on again.
My pleasure, Matthew. Guys, on the 18th, the Down Syndrome Family Network is having their conference in Tobago. And on the 19th, they are having it in Trinidad. Next week, Lisa Ghani, director at the Down Syndrome Family Network, will be here to talk all about this conference. With that being said, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into this week's segment of Redefining Normal. As I always say, be good, do good. Bye, everyone. Bye, Matthew. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shamla Maraj, and her guest this morning, Matthew, that Down syndrome advocate. And I think he's visiting Trinidad and Tobago, so that's definitely something to look forward to. Well, have you seen this video circulating online? Well, earlier on, off air, they were showing me this confrontation between licensing officers and a motorist. But we are going to blur the footage, which really shows a man along the Southern Main Road in a confrontation with at least 3 licensing officers. And Trinidad and Tobago Today reached out to the Traffic Commissioner, Clive Clark, who said that he expects to receive a formal report on this matter. Well, he said he did not want to comment extensively as the incident, obviously, as you know, is currently under police investigation. However, he described the situation as unfortunate and noted that licensing officers aim to carry out their duties within the law. So this video has been making the rounds on social media. And of course, for all of this, we will continue following this, and you can check it out via TTT online. Moving on now, as you know, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar met with senior leaders at the U.S. Southern Command to discuss regional security and efforts to combat designated terrorist organizations. And as you would have learned in our newscast yesterday and today, during that meeting with Southcom Commander General Francis L. Donovan, both sides actually reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening defense cooperation and maintaining security across the Caribbean. Well, if you are also looking for a different kind of race experience, moving on now, the BAFA Sports Midnight Running Series is back in Trinidad and Tobago for 2026. And this offers runners a chance to hit the road just after midnight. That's interesting. So you get to beat the daytime heat. The series kicked off with the repeated 10K on March 8th and continues with the midnight half marathon and a relay in April, followed by the midnight marathon in May. Well, organizers are saying that the events feature themed medals and a vibrant illuminated race atmosphere, and this really gives the runners a unique late night experience through the capital. Can you imagine that, running on midnight? Yeah, I feel we could do that, Sayo. Well, thanks for joining us today on Trinidad and Tobago Today. If you want to catch all the stories you saw here, check out TTT Live online. If you have a story idea, press release, you want to collaborate or advertise with us, we'd love to hear from you. tttoday@ttt.co.tt, and you can be a part of the conversation that's shaping our nation. Trinidad and Tobago Today, news you can trust and all the stories that matters. And of course, that's it for us today. Carries up with the major network news at 8 a.m. Join me tomorrow, 6 to 8, where we do this all over again.
You could like a picture, you could like a post or something, and you know, so many other people can see that, right? You might comment on something and think, oh, we're just commenting, but so many other people can see that as well. So I think managing those types of behaviors are also important in a relationship, because while you may not be actively going out doing something, you might for example, like a post or comment on something that is seemingly inappropriate, and that can cause some kind of friction in your relationship with your spouse.
Yes, you also cannot be naive. If you think by hiding from your spouse, by texting someone, or hiding from your spouse by by using social media, is hiding it from that person, it's open to the public.
Yeah.
So there's somebody else on the end of that text.
Receiving it.
Even
if it's an inbox and it's not public to everyone.
It's in the public domain.
Yes.
So if you're doing something that could violate the trust, the balance of your relationship, and there's another party involved, as you said, like direct messaging or texting, then you're leaving yourself open to exposure anyway.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Rising tensions in the Middle East are once again sending shockwaves through global energy markets, triggering fluctuations in oil prices and raising questions about what it could mean for Trinidad and Tobago's economy. Energy strategy and policy advisor Anthony Paul says while higher prices can boost export revenues for the country's energy sector, the situation could also bring new financial pressures at home. Mr. Paul explains that geopolitical uncertainty can quickly influence energy markets, with global supply concerns often driving prices higher. He says developments in the region surrounding key oil shipping routes have already begun affecting market confidence and pricing trends.
Prices are a function of supply and demand. And once the war started in the Middle East, Iran threatened to block the Gulf of Hormuz. As you know, 20% of the world's oil and commodities and oil products pass through that strait. So immediately that puts strain on the market in terms of supply. And of course, as expected, that would push up prices.
For Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Paul says high international prices could translate into increased earnings from oil and natural gas exports. However, he notes the country also imports most of its refined fuel products, which means global price movements can still affect national spending.
So what will happen to the consumer is that the government of Trinidad and Tobago subsidizes those fuels, and therefore the price is kept at a fixed level for the consumer. The trouble is the government has been having difficulty meeting its obligation to fulfill the subsidy. And as we know, the government is running a deficit budget.
The overall impact will depend largely on how long global prices remain elevated, noting that while the energy sector could see gains from stronger export prices, sustained increases could also place additional pressure on the country's fiscal balance. In other news, a new initiative to support young women in the Tunapuna community was announced by Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander, who also praised the state of emergency for recent firearm seizures and several detentions. The minister made the remarks exclusively to TTT News during Pagua festivities in El Dorado, Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday. Minister of Homeland Security and Member of Parliament for Tunapuna noted that the bright colors of Pagua are more than a celebration of culture. It's a reminder of unity for many across the nation.
And you know what I'm looking at? It is called the Festival of Colors. But at the same time, I'm looking at how we come from different cultures. But then you see a combination of persons here, including myself. How can we mix colors together and get joy and happiness out of it? That means that it is also an indication of how we could live. Because if we could use colors, mix it together and have fun and enjoy ourselves, then someone is indicating to us how we can live together in peace and harmony in this good land.
In keeping with the essence of unity and generosity, the minister is giving back to members of his community in a new initiative focused on uplifting the lives of young women.
Just the other day, a couple of days ago, we ended the registration. We wanted to do something with young women in the area. Women who probably home doing nothing at this time. We are having a hair course where you're going to learn how to do hair and all these things. And we end up with 300 and more applications in the first ever that we did.
Minister Alexander also commented on the reintroduction of the nationwide state of emergency, stating that it has yielded positive results. In sport, newly appointed interim head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago national football team, Derek King, conducted his first official training session on Monday. The session was held at the Manny Ramjan Stadium just days after he was appointed to the role last Friday. Among the contingent of locally based players in attendance were national under-17 standouts Lindell Sween and Adassa Richardson, along with the national under-20 captain Darrell Garcia. Senior players Cathon Saint-Hilaire, Alvin Jones and Jabari Bryce were also part of the session. The training gave interim head coach Derek King and newly appointed assistant coach Hudson Charles an opportunity to closely assess the group before naming a final squad for Trinidad and Tobago national football team ahead of their international friendly against Bolivia national football team on March 15th. And that was your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. From the entire team here, have a great day.
This is TTT. Live for local. Carrie's Kitchen, powered by Food Hall. Grocery made greater. Ibis, a tradition of excellence. Caribbean flavors.